my name is Toby Kalejai, and then from 2016, that was when I heard about Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin. Then, the value then was around $650 to one Bitcoin. So what fascinated me as a person wasn't the fact that I didn't even know then that Bitcoin had the potential to increase in price or whatever. I only needed to do some transactions. That was how I got myself into it. Then from 2017, I started educating people about it. I did Bitcoin Uncensored. I, talked about the blockchain. I did works, in that regard that people can listen to, get to know what this was all about. And of course, because I'm based in Nigeria, I'm based precisely in Ibadan. All right. So I had a lot of difficulty, helping people understand the whole idea. And then one question I get faced with a lot from people is, um, what's it called? How do I, how, sorry, let me just admit some of the people waiting. So one of the questions I get a lot is people saying, how do I become a part? How do I understand this? Make it very simple for me to comprehend and things around that. So I looked at the way I could start explaining Bitcoin in Yoruba. It was quite very difficult for me. I did the pidgin version also, waiting Bitcoin B, then Kini Bitcoin for those who, so that people could basically try to understand what the technology is all about and then the financial emancipation they can actually get from it also. I started a blockchain center, though it's no longer running in the city of Ibadan also, just an opportunity, a hub, more like where people can get to keep understanding technology, how we could use, raw applications that could help people make life easier and things around that. Then, of course, I've gone on to also create some people, this were the first set of people I certified. That was in 2018. Welcoming them to the blockchain space. They had a certification course with my organization back then. And of course, also, I speak at conferences. I've had the privilege of being, in some countries of the world, sharing the same knowledge of what Bitcoin is, what the technology is all about, and of course, how people can make money from the technology. So today I'll be talking about maximizing cryptocurrencies. And yes, there is no Bitcoin without you talking about cryptocurrencies, okay? Because Bitcoin is just an offshoot. It is one form of cryptocurrency, and there are diverse forms of them. And of course, I would also want to talk about, before I go into all of the things I want to talk about today, I want to talk about the history and the evolution of money. Firstly, I want you to note that there is a direct correlation between the impact of technology, the growth of technology, and also the form of money that we have available. All right. So as technology keeps getting better, the forms of money has always been changing, and it keeps growing in the same direction or dimension with technology. All right. So we have had an era where it was trade by barter that was the form or the medium of exchange between people, but it was insufficient in that some people felt cheated. And at every time you needed something new, you have to let go of something else. All right. So sometimes you are letting go of what you might need tomorrow, but because necessity or the need at hand, might be what you don't actually have right now, you need to look for a medium to exchange, right? And then to just look out for it. So these mediums, these forms of exchange were not, they were not without errors, all right? So people started looking out for, okay, how can we make it better? Went into cowries, went into metals before we went into coin. Then people went into gold. So many forms of exchange have been explored before we even got to the point of paper money. All right. We had paper money. We still use paper money till date. Then people felt, now that we have paper money, how can we still simplify issues? Can we simplify things, make them better? We started using cards. Then the whole economy, the whole world started craving for a cashless economy. And all these things are actually, possible today because we have technology. All right. We have the internet has been able to make a whole lot of things not just possible, but available. All right. So we can begin to explore and say, let's have a situation whereby we are cashless. And now, we even have a situation whereby people are able to do transactions entirely based on trust, right? Using third-party payment systems like the likes of PayPal, the likes of Skrill, the likes of I don't know. There are diverse, forms of third-party payment systems that people have also tried over the years. All right, but the difference, what makes Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, essentially the first thing that makes them different is the fact that it runs on the blockchain technology, right? And then the blockchain technology, I'm not going to go into all of the technical what's it called, the technicalities of the blockchain technology, but basically it's a distributed ledger that permits, it's very open. Essentially, everyone can see transactions or can see activities happening on the blockchain, but can't be able to alterate whatever is happening on the chain. All right. So it means that if I'm sending a message right here to Kenny on the blockchain, everyone in this room right now can have access. They can look at the volume or the message or whatever it is that we are talking about, but still they won't be able to decode it because we are actually using a medium that, though it's open for everyone to see, there's still privacy. The messages are still being privatized. If you're chatting with someone on a platform like WhatsApp for the very first time, you see a message, something like, this message is end-to-end encrypted. So WhatsApp is simply telling you that, in the real sense, right? In the reality of things, they are trying to tell you that we're just a medium, right? We're only taking your message from you, the sender, to the other person who is reading the message. We don't have a copy of this message. That's what it's meant to be, but over time, people have come to see that, yes, Mark is not actually true to his word. I won't be going into the depth of that, but on the blockchain, that's what the blockchain technology actually makes possible, such that we can have information, we can have data moving from one person to the other, yet it is still very, very personal. So Bitcoin, as it were, right, is just one of the offshoots of the things that the blockchain can actually do. We have, some people are going into more detailed things to see, it's just like the blockchain today is like when you mentioned the internet in 1994 or 1995, right? A lot of people still couldn't tell that, yes, the internet could be able to do what it's actually doing today. All right. So it was very difficult to comprehend back in the days, but eventually people started with emails. Email led to this, led to that. So that's where we are currently with the blockchain technology. All right. It is the foundation on which Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are laid. Now I'm going to let me quickly lay another foundation before I go on to the next thing, right? When you say cryptocurrencies, there are several thousands of them today. If you want to check that out, you can always go to coinmarketcap.com. You have a list of over 8,000 cryptocurrencies right there. Does it mean that you can put your money in all of them? The answer is no, right? You don't need to put your money in all of them. There are very limited ones that are viable. When I say viable, that you can trust. That's the most important thing. It's not just about you saying the price is this today. Let me go haul in. Let me go buy this, that. No, you need to be very, very careful. And I'm going to show you which ones are viable in a minute. So I'll be defining cryptocurrencies. I'll talk about the importance. I'll talk about the advantages and also the potentials. Then we'll go back to end this conversation by talking more about Bitcoin. All right. So cryptocurrencies are digital forms of currencies. The fascinating thing about them is the fact that it runs on cryptography. I don't know the best way I can be able to make this analogy, but the best way I can try to explain it is, if you find yourself in a situation, maybe we Africans do that a lot. Your mother could wink at you, right there in the midst of every other person, but you alone can understand the message she's trying to pass across to you, right? So though she's trying to wink at you in the public, or she's trying to tell you something, she's trying to get the message across to you, but she can't actually use the easiest form of communication, which is verbal, right there in the presence of everyone. But you are able to decode the message she's trying to send across, even though everyone there is present. I don't know if that makes sense, but you would you'll get you'll get uh, so if you stick with me, please, I will make that clear in a bit. All right. So what cryptocurrencies have been able to help us achieve, if today you look at, for an example, if you run a bank account, say for example I run a bank, maybe I use GT Bank, and then you use maybe Zenith Bank or any other bank or whatever bank it is that you use, I'm able to actually send value to you. If I look into my account right now, I'm only going to see numbers, right? These numbers doesn't, because you own them, you actually understand that yes, it translates into money. All right. Everything about cryptography is such that now there is no physical paper involved at the end of the day. What we have is basically numbers that are being shared from one person to the other because of the ways they've been created, right? They are basically numbers. Please try and understand this foundation is very, very important. Basically numbers. So if I create a wallet right over here and I say, okay, I'm going to send you Bitcoin over there, you are never, there's no point whereby you are going to be able to see a physical form of Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of these cryptocurrencies, all right? They are strictly digital forms of money, right? They are strictly digital forms of money, no physical representation. So why I'm trying to clear all of this is because I know that there are people who have been scammed by people saying, oh, I'm going to bring Bitcoin to your house. I'm going to bring Bitcoin over to you. You send your money first to me. These are red flags that you begin to see, or you should be able to have an understanding of before you come very close. So why cryptocurrencies? Uh, you and I today, with the advent of internet, can do a voice call without any third-party interference. You and I can send messages, we can send mails without a third-party interference. But it's been very difficult to do that with money. So cryptocurrencies have been able to enable, the fact that people can now send money from person to person, right, through a third-party system, but yet nobody can alter the transaction, right? For an example, this is what I'm trying to say. If you send money to someone maybe in Nigeria through Western Union, all right, Western Union still have a prerogative to whether the money is going to be released over here for one reason or the other, maybe security, maybe what's the purpose of the money. You still have to answer a lot of questions, right? Even if I send money from my bank to your bank, the bank still can go ahead to either block the fund, reverse the funds. They still have a way of controlling these things. The same thing with PayPal, the same thing with Skrill. But Bitcoin is such that once a transaction is carried out, it is irreversible. All right. It is irreversible. Whatever systems we try to use for this purpose don't have a say over it. And then I'm going to talk about those who use third-party systems that still have a say, maybe much later. But I'm trying to say that in itself, when the white paper of Bitcoin was written, these were some of the things that are very prominent in the white paper, that people should be able to have freedom for their own money, right? Over their own money, not sending money and being restricted and all of those things. Then secondly, we find out that there is a need for people to store value. If you live in a country like Nigeria, where our inflation rate is at, some people say it's about 30%. Some people, I think the CBN has been consistently saying it's just around 16%. Whether you like it or not, that's still terrible, right? 16, it means that if you have 100K starting January and you still have the 100K by December, though you have the value of 100,000, but the purchasing power has been reduced or devalued by 16%. So in the real sense, your 100K in January can no longer purchase or do what it was meant to do, right, in January. And then for a sinner climb, I think there was a time I was reading, and someone said, I think it was in the US, they were fighting over the fact that they were fighting over the fact that what's it called? Their inflation rate is at 2%. They were complaining, they knew the impact of all of these things. But here in Nigeria, people are living day to day. They don't even understand the fact that there is an inflation rate of between 16 to 30%. It means that when you start working in January and you're being paid 100K, what you are earning by December is actually 80 something thousand. purchasing power is terrible, dropping. So people are looking for systems. And, you know, funny enough, people think, oh, that's why then I need to invest. I need to put my money here. You still don't have that security, because for an example, if you have an apartment, maybe you have a house and then you finish constructing the house by January. Say you spend over 20 million naira doing that, and then you start giving out rent. Maybe you are making in rent, you're actually making 2 million naira on that property from your first lease. Second year, you might still be making 2 million. But you know, with rent, everything over time, you are losing out money, because when you are still earning the same 2 million naira, you are no longer earning at the same value it was when you started. All right. And we've seen this over time, especially for people in Africa, people in third world countries, underdeveloped countries, where money is being printed. You know, the simple thing is the federal government is printing more notes, right, at a faster rate than value is being exchanged in the society. This is why we constantly have this sort of situations. But of course, there would always be some, what's it called? Some economic, big grammars, just to try and distract people from what is actually happening. So in the real sense, you are unable to store value with your money. In 2009, when Bitcoin was created, the value of one Bitcoin was less than a cent. All right. So imagine now, today as we speak, I took some shots before this class started. Bitcoin was around $41,000 to one Bitcoin. All right. I said I bought my first Bitcoin when it was $650. All right. So imagine if I had made, anyone who made an investment of, say you made an investment of $1,000 back then. I'm not talking 20, 30 years ago. I'm talking just 2016 here. If you made an investment of $1,000, now holding the same fraction of Bitcoin that you bought at that time, now you have for yourself $40,000. There's no stock, there's no asset class that behaves this way, that can give people this kind of returns, right, over time. Why, the price of Bitcoin increasing? Why does it also decrease? I'm going to be talking about all of these things too in no time. So another thing Bitcoin has been able to do is to bank the unbanked. All right. If you stay, maybe for another example, I would love to keep using Nigeria because it's very terrible in here. All right. The things are quite very, very difficult. You don't do things seamlessly in this country and a lot of other third world countries. So you have BVN, your BVN, you do your BVN with one bank. They still tell you to go link it up with other banks. You need you can't still, excuse me, there are things you still can't be able to do, from one bank to the other because you don't have BVN. Imagine you are in a country where they tell you after having a SIM card, your SIM card has been registered with same NIMC or whatever corporation is in charge with that of that. You still have to link up your NIN number. You have these, there's a lot of, we don't share database and it's very, very terrible. So there's a lot of frustration here. You can't just walk up to a bank and tell them you need to do something as basic as this. There's no database being shared. So it's difficult for some people to actually use the bank, right? Not because they don't want to, because sometimes also it's difficult, it's expensive for some banks to actually have a location in certain area. All right. So Bitcoin has been able to ensure that with the presence of the internet anywhere you find yourself, everyone can actually do financial transactions. All right. And then the ease of, transferring value. If I send Bitcoin to you right now, or send majority of these cryptocurrencies to you right now, you are going to instantly receive the value over there wherever you are. All right. So we've gone past the era of trying to send money and then it's taking several days before the value is being received. And also, yes, I know that there are some, like World Remit and a few other platforms today that are helping people to be able to make remittances from one country to the other. But yet, are we considering the charges? And then how private is your transactions with all of these systems, right? These are some hedge or a lot of hedge that, using Bitcoin as a mode of payment or for remittance has over using any of these third-party systems. Now, looking at the potentials, right? Like I said at the beginning, I said there's a positive correlation between technology, and then the forms of money, right? So technology allows for improvement. It gives room so that as technology keeps getting better, the forms of money that we use keeps getting better also. When in 2016, if I had to stop a lot of, even for a class like this, I had to stop. I stopped doing free classes for no reason. But Kenny is someone I actually hold in a very high esteem, and I actually made her understand the reason why I will be able to do this, right? I stopped trying to educate anybody. I mean, trying to educate people about cryptocurrency, because Nigerians really, really frustrated me. 2016, 2017, I did the messages in Yoruba. I was going from one radio station to the other, trying to, put the right message out there. People would still ask me, so what's in for you? Are you bringing me to register under you? This is not bring one, bring two people kind of thing, but it was very, very difficult for people to come to that realization. So for me as a person, I just stopped. I don't do free classes. I have a lot of paid mentorship programs that people do, that people come to do under me. But I just said, let me do this for relationship sake that I have with Kenny. All right. So the challenges has been there in that 2016, 17, 18, even till date, I find a lot of educated people. You sit down with them, and then I discover it's just a waste of my time. I'm trying to talk to people who are either not receptive, or I'm trying to talk to people who already, they already have like a preconceived mindset. Everything you are telling them, they are mentally with you, but they don't believe what you're saying. They still believe this guy is trying to do some magic or trying to talk some. And I really, actually, I don't blame people. I know people have come to see a lot. People have seen a lot. They have a lot of experiences. That has made them come to those point of view. All right. So back to it now. With If you look at a country like China today, RMB is one currency that has actually gone, it has actually become a way of life. The same way, I don't know, I've not really read into details about Cash App, but I know they are trying to do something very, very similar. But China today is one country whereby the government have actually deployed, and they said, okay, what we're doing is we're actually going crypto, with our economy, so that if you use what's the name of this WeChat, if you use WeChat today, you can run payment from person to person, you can do transactions, you can do borderless transactions. You don't actually need to visit a physical bank, yet it's still controlled. That's one hand, when it's coming from the government. Of course, the government has to always create that system of control. But with Bitcoin is such that there is no system of control. There's no individual person who is actually governing the system. All right. So it gives a lot of room, right? The potentials that it has to, create wealth for people is actually limitless. Actually limitless. All right. So if you look at, I'm going to try as much as possible to show some charts if I still have time to be able to cover that. I'll try and show some charts just so that you guys can actually see and look at the projections, look at things for yourself, and be able to make certain decisions, right? So with increased use of the internet, there's going to be more, acceptability of cryptocurrencies. People who said it's all noise, it's soon going to die, it's soon going to be relevant. All, today, like every organization is now listening. Everyone now wants to know about it. And with the increase of the knowledge, you are going to see how the increase of the knowledge has increased the demand for Bitcoin, and how it keeps increasing the price. I'll get to that also in a bit. Bitcoin would be able to help with wealth distribution, and also it will give avenues for a lot of innovations, like we can actually see already. I've said this earlier also, there are thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, but not all of them are viable. Not all of them are viable. Not all of them make sense. Some of them can actually, like, you can have, some of them can actually give you wealth, they can make you millions of dollars in a day and then still take the same from you in a day. All right. There are ways to play around alternative currencies. That's what we call every other cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin. We call them alternative currencies. For short, we say altcoin. All right. So I'm going to talk briefly about them also in a bit. So Bitcoin was created in the year 2009, and then it was created by an anonymous developer who is known as Satoshi Nakamoto. All right. People don't know till date. I must tell you for a fact whether this is an individual, whether this is a group, whether this is nobody knows. Just like today, if I ask you who created the internet, honestly, man, it's going to be very difficult trying to figure that out. But today we all know that everyone is using the internet, and then we don't even come to that point of thinking, oh, the internet is going to go away someday soon. Now we can't imagine a world without the internet. It has come to stay. In fact, it's actually getting better. A lot of developers over the years are working on it to ensure we are faster, we are better internet. The same thing is actually happening with Bitcoin. All right. So the developer's name is Satoshi Nakamoto. Maybe I can send the Bitcoin white paper through Kenny so she would know how to get it across to everyone much later. The most important use case for Bitcoin, I've talked about that earlier, is the fact that it can actually store value for you, and also it can be used as a medium of exchange, right? It can be used as a medium of exchange like a currency. And at the current price today, if you want to keep yourself abreast of that, just always use coinmarketcap.com. Coinmarketcap.com. That's one website where, let me type, I'll put that in the chat box now so everyone can get to see it. Sorry, I'm trying to type that now. Coinmarketcap.com. All right, so you can always go there and you would see price of Bitcoin per time and other cryptocurrencies also. Yeah, I don't endorse all of the adverts you get to see on the website. Some of them are very, very malicious. All right, so but if you want to always track the price, you want to track the growth for a period of time since inception, you can always do that over there. So how does Bitcoin continually gain this value, right? Okay, there's a hand raised. Just a minute, please. Can I, do you mind I finish my presentation before taking questions? Let me see who's raising it. Okay, I should continue. All right, good. Please let me just finish up so I would possibly unmute everyone so we can. All right, so Bitcoin has a maximum unit of 21 million, right? So you can never have more than 21 million units of Bitcoin. What does that mean? It means that the supply is actually fixed, right? The supply is fixed. So with every new money that comes into Bitcoin, it will only increase the value of the ones that are in existence. How do I take that now? Say, for example, if you have, I'm actually holding a marker right now. I'm holding this marker, and then I'm telling you that there's only one of this marker anywhere you get to in all over the world. And then the world has seen that, yes, this is not just marker. It's actually very, very valuable. Everyone should have a copy of this. Everyone should own. If you can't own this entire marker, you can own fractions of it because you are a part of the system in that way. All right. So what will happen to the price of this marker? It will keep increasing in value. The more people see that, yes, oh, I need a fraction, I need a fraction, I need a fraction of this, I need a fraction, it will keep increasing in value. Because why? You can't have more than this. There's no way you can replicate this. You can't duplicate it. It is actually fixed. So we can only have a maximum of 21 million units of Bitcoin in circulation. Now, of this 21 million, there's something we refer to as, I'm trying to get the best word now. There's something we refer to as private keys. I promise not to go into all of those technical stuffs. We refer to as private keys. We refer to as, the fact that you can either store your Bitcoin for yourself or you put it on an exchange. I recommend you actually store for yourself than putting on an exchange. But people mess up with their private keys. Your private keys, like your password, is more effective than your password actually, because it's a decentralized economy, it's a decentralized system. So people get to lose their private keys. All right. So you can have people who, oh, I bought, maybe you bought $100 unit of Bitcoin. I always tell people the first thing you should do once you are creating a wallet is write down your private keys. Every wallet you're trying to create will give you that option. So you need to write down your private keys, then store it somewhere where you know that you can always have access to it. Because if your wallet is on your phone, you don't have a backup for it, and then you misplace your phone, it means those fractions of Bitcoin you're holding there is gone, and it's gone forever. So now the technologically we're able to figure that over 3 million units of Bitcoin are actually gone forever. Like they are lost. People who have lost them, especially when the value was not this great. Like, people are more sensitive now because the price is great now. So people don't joke around. But a lot of people back in the days, I could remember the first transaction that was ever carried out with Bitcoin was 10,000 units of Bitcoin was used in buying pizza. So think about that. 10,000 units of Bitcoin was used to buy just two boxes of pizza. That's to tell you, the difference between then and now. If you compare it now, that's of course still the most expensive pizza in the world. Imagine using 10,000. So because the value was very, very little then, so it was least appreciated back then. Over 3 million units of Bitcoin are gone and are gone forever. So the entire world is actually trying to, we all are holding fractions of the less than, let's say about 19 million that we actually have in circulation now. So with every demand that comes in, the price continues to go up. It's as simple as that. It should have been the same case for currencies too. But what do governments do? Governments continue to what? To print money. So when the government continues to print money, right, what happens to the one you and I, have already in our possession? The value depreciates. But that cannot happen with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is fixed. It has fixed units. So you cannot actually have the production of new Bitcoins, except yes, there's I could talk about mining. Maybe it's going to be at another time, or I could drop links so that you guys can read that up. But let me go straight now to talk about where the money actually is, right? Where the money actually is, because this is, of course, those foundational knowledge is very, very important. But now people need to understand, okay, for me as a person, I'm not trying to be an educator. I've seen people tell me that, like, I'm not trying to go teach anybody. I'm busy already. I just want to either store my money. When can I buy? How can I make money? That's so. How do you make money with Bitcoin? There are two major ways that I will first want to itemize. The first one is through buying and holding, right? You buy it and then you hold it. You are not doing anything with it. Yes, there will be people who will come around to tell you, I'm sure you must have met them a lot. Come, bring your Bitcoin, let's double it for you. You know how those things always end, right? Bring your Bitcoin, I'm going to give you 30% in a month. I'll give you 50% at the end of 2 months. Those things would never end well, right? It's not going to start ending well with you. You already know. So I'm not going to go detailed into that. So you can actually buy your Bitcoin and just keep it. Buy it, you keep it, and expecting that when the price increases in value, you sell it. Okay, that's one way. Second thing is through trading. When you're trying to trade, of course, you need to understand some technical analysis so that you can actually you need to understand price action. You need to understand, okay, when is it the right time to buy? Of course, you still need knowledge even when you are trying to hold. But if you have a long-term perspective, irrespective of when you buy Bitcoin, I don't recommend buying it today though. Irrespective of when you buy Bitcoin, you are still able to make money after a while, right? Because you are holding, and then you're expecting that the price will increase in value, and then you can actually sell off and make money. Then secondly, you are actively trading. So when you are trading Bitcoin, what you're trying to do is you are trying to, just like people who trade Forex, there are two ways to actually trade. Is either you are spot trading or you are leverage trading. Either of the two, you can actually make money through that. Okay. Then what or how do I trade and all of those things? Yes, we can exhaust trading in a day. If you are interested, you might need to have to go check out my trading courses and see which one will be more suitable for you. But then you need to also find out who are those actually trading. You can go check up or try to read up. I think one of the strongest companies in the US that actually helps people to trade Bitcoin is Coinbase. Coinbase.com. They are one of the strongest out there in in the US. I don't know about Canada. I don't know which one really fits well for you guys, but I know Coinbase is quite strong enough. I know that is it Western Union? They also, they've also delved into it. JP Morgan have also delved into it. Banks are looking closely into this technology. They are buying fractions of Bitcoin. They're experimenting with it. Central banks of countries are seeing it as great alternatives. You can see what has happened in Venezuela, what has happened in a country like Zimbabwe also, whereby their money actually went valueless right before their very own eyes, right? You have a trillion, imagine, Zimbabwean dollar back in the days, like around 2017, 2018. They are still not out of that shit though. They are still not out of the shit. Even Venezuela, you are using trillions of dollars to buy bread. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because what has happened? They've allowed inflation to eat deep into their economy, and then things, money actually became valueless, right? Right before the eyes of people. So hedge funds, retail traders, people are day by day, there are organizations who were, once antagonists of Bitcoin, saying it was going to crash, it's going to be this, be that, be this, that. A lot of people have said a lot of negative stuff, and today now they have become people who are now promoting Bitcoin, as it were. So there's still a lot of opportunities. The first investment everyone should do is that of knowledge. And I'm glad over 50 persons in here today are trolling that part. It's actually amazing. It's great. So I think this class is being recorded. We can share it. You have to listen to it over again so that you can be able to pick up one or two things. So how do I get started? It's up to you. But before buying your first Bitcoin, I need you to understand that there is what we refer to as market cycles. All right, market cycle. Let me go out of this. Then I'll come back to talk about pitfalls to avoid. Somebody should please remind me. I need to talk about the pitfalls to avoid. Though I already mentioned a few. So the short I took before this class, one Bitcoin is now valued at $41,258. Right? That was when I took the short before this class. All right. So I said I was going to show some. Somebody has taken over my screen. All right. So if you are looking out for ways to get started, before you go ahead and get started or something, let me show you so you understand that there are cycles that you need to play by. You need to understand how these things work, all right? So that you are not actually going to be on the waiting side of things for a very long time. It's okay to wait though, if you don't mind. In fact, one of the things I recommend to people is some people come, it's like you just heard about the magic, you just saw, oh, somebody said it's Bitcoin, he bought Bitcoin at $10,000. Now he has over 4x of his money. And then people say, I'm going deep into it also. I want to buy $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. And it's your first investment. Are you able to watch your investment? Maybe you bought Bitcoin you bought $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then the price actually went down. Maybe went down by 10%. Would you still be fine? Would you still be in a very, very good frame of mind when you see those kind of situations? So let me quickly just show so that you can understand that there are cycles to these things. Let me go on a monthly, or let's use a weekly time frame. You may not understand all of this. You might not. Some people might already. But yes, this is what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you. This is where you can. I'm actually trying to show you the price of Bitcoin, where it's been before, and where it is right now. So look at this. When Bitcoin, look at where. Let me mark it out with this annotation. I know I have a lot of questions. I'm going to take them now. I'm about rounding off. So right here, when Bitcoin this was the first This was the peak of 2017. One Bitcoin became $20,000. And then what happened between, this was on, what date was this? A second. So this, it peaked around 11th of December 2017. Then what happened? We had bearish run. Price started going down and then went down till December 2018, thereabout. Price was still down. Then started picking up over again. Price came to, this was July 2019. Then price came back to what again? Price came back to around 5,000. I don't know who is writing on my screen though. So price came back to around 5,000. And then we started having the push for price. And today price is around 40,000. What should you expect? Ideally, it tells you that yes, there will still be pullback. Nothing, no financial market goes up forever. People are now in the craze of, oh, Tesla is doing magic. Elon Musk has become the greatest, the richest man in the world. The value of his shares are going to go up. Yes, it will, but you still need to know. It's very, very important that you seek the guidance of people who are aware, who already know, okay, when is it the best time to buy? And of course, yes, I have an advisory group of people. It's majorly for people who they have busy schedules. All they want to do is they just trust my instinct and my own judgment to say, okay, Toby, you do this full time. You just tell us, okay, is it a good time to buy? Or I help them look at it and say, okay, how much are you trying to put in? Okay, can you do this instead of you going all in now? Can you be saving? Just consider it like you're saving, do it $100 every month, do it $100 every week. Maybe, just trying to look at their finances and then give them some, good advice to just let them understand the better way to be able to go about this. Because I'll tell you, there are people who are doing this right now, and it's not the best thing to do. You are buying Bitcoin right now. You are buying Bitcoin right now just because you say, oh, it's at 40,000. And guess what? This is when it feels very sweet. I've had more classes done because of this push. I know a lot of people want to learn because of this upward push. This is when people it's a good time to learn actually. But is this the best time to actually go in and buy? I'll tell you for the truth, it is no. Why? Even though from where it is now, there are projections saying, oh, the price is actually going to go to 100,000. Yes, it will, but it's still going to come back down, right? So when you start seeing Bitcoin around 20,000, around 18,000 over again, this can be a better time to actually start making those buy decisions, with good money, having that expectation that yes, it will go back up. So go check out the cycle. Check out the cycle. I told you, when I bought, that was 2016. If you go around 2016, looking at this chart, okay, this is 2016 chart. I came in somewhere around $600 somewhere here. Excuse me. And then I watched my Bitcoin going, it was very, very magical for me. Very magical for me. I'm not going to lie. From 1K, then from 650 to 1K to 1K to 2K. And then when I saw it go back down, that was when I actually, okay, what's happening? Is it going to end? Then I discovered that, yes, there are cycles. You need to go back and look at the cycles. Go on this. I'm using tradingview.com. They'll give you a lot of information from the past. You can see this was 2012 when the price of Bitcoin was around $3, $7. So you need to study, look at all this information, right? It's going to help you in understanding, okay, what should I do? You can see the growth. Oh, it went, you will look at it and see, oh, there are times, oh, it was $100 at this point in time. Then price went all the way down to $20. You need to understand that, yes, this movement will happen. But as to the use case of Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin is very, very useful. It is the future of money, right? More valuable than gold. Everyone, yes, needs to, look into it, take up, I don't know, just ensure that as much as possible, you are able to make the most of this knowledge that is out there for you. So at this point, I would open up and start taking questions. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Toby. I I believe people will have questions. I think
Yeah.
honestly. My first, yeah, you said you were going to tell us about pitfalls or to avoid.
Okay, great. Yeah, one of the pitfalls to avoid, I already just did an overall explanation is don't buy Bitcoin today with the cash you're going to need next week. The money you need to pay rent, you need to, you want to buy a car tomorrow and then you say, oh, let me quickly go flip it with Bitcoin. It won't end well because you won't be emotionally stable to do all of those kind of things. Also, don't buy Bitcoins and then go use them for some Ponzi schemes, giving you some promises that are not realistic. You know, if you want to always ensure you are in possession of your money, don't. I tell people, yes, do I trade? I trade professionally. I've been doing this for 4 years. I don't collect money to trade for people. Don't go looking out. Oh, they said they are going to trade for me. They will trade for me. Don't go looking out for people to trade for you. Why? If you're making enough money, this is the question I keep asking people who fall traps of all of these things. If the trader is actually making enough money for himself, why will he need to trade for you? Why on earth? Why on earth would somebody say, okay, let me be trading for you? I'll be giving you 30%. If you're already making, if think about it, if the person is actually making 30% of his own money on a monthly basis, would he be looking out for someone to trade for? Just think about it that way. So don't go out looking out for big promises. Yes, if you go into the world of alternative currencies, it's an amazing world, I can tell you. You can watch your $100 go to $1,000 to $5,000. These things happen, right? But you need to first for the knowledge. Don't put in what you are not able to look away from for a time frame, like what you're going to need in by next month, in 2 months time. You don't actually say, oh, let me go flip it with Bitcoin. Is not the best of things to do. So yes, these are the few pitfalls I can touch right now. And of course, yes, if you want to have more detailed, grounded knowledge on all of this, I'll share a link to my website. There are courses in there that can help you. Also, you can reach out to me. I'm sure Kenny will be able to tell you how to reach out to me much later. Thank you. So, questions now.
So you can unmute yourself if you have any question for Toby. My own question is like, so I have money now, and you have said now is not a good time, but if I am now ready, not now, maybe later in my
All right.
future, how do I now put the money? Like, I know it's
Okay.
been,
How do you buy?
yes, how do I buy?
Okay, good. There are diverse ways. You can check out Binance.com. They accept Naira buying. Also, I sell Bitcoins to people. If you have a Naira bank account, you can do a Naira transfer to me. I can sell Bitcoin to you. All right. So you can all, but if you don't, on the other hand, I think there's Binance for Canada. So just check out Binance.com. They'll direct you to their Canada website, I guess. And on the other hand, I think Coinbase also serve that territory very well. Coinbase.com. Yeah, then someone is asking about Bitcoin halving. That's a little bit, of course, this person would have been experienced with Bitcoin. This simply says that the price or the amount of Bitcoin that is mineable, right, reduces every 4 years. So, for example, in the first, the hash rate or the mining capacity of Bitcoin reduces every 4 years. So, if, for example, in the first 4 years, when Bitcoin was created in 2009, it went live in 2010. Between 2010 to 2014, half of the entire 21 million units was mined. So, the next 4 years, which was from 2014 till 2018, another half was mined. So, in the first half of the mining state, we had half of 21 million is, I think that's 10.5, right? If I'm right, yeah, 10.5 million was mined. The next half, which was 2014 to 2018, we had another half, added to that. So half of 10.5 now was added to the initial, what's it called, 10.5 that we had. So we had about, I think that should be 16.250 thereabout, if I'm right with the numbers. Then between 2018 till 2022, that's the next halving. half of the half that is left now is going to be mined. All right. So this mining is actually, is a is the computing process that ensures that transactions that are done on the Bitcoin network is completed. All right. So that's how the transactions are actually confirmed, or yeah. Yeah, thanks. What of other websites you mentioned to buy from? Okay, I've mentioned Binance.com. I've mentioned Coinbase.com also. And yes, so I think, what wallet do I recommend? Thank you so much, Toby, for your time. Okay, what are my top 5 cryptocurrencies that I'll pick? Of course, number 1 is Bitcoin. Number 2 is Ethereum. Number 3 is Ripple. Forget about the old SEC issues that Ripple is having currently. I'll say this: there would always be, in financial markets generally, there must always be one news, either a negative one or a positive one, that actually pushes price. Okay, look at for those who trade currencies like GBP, maybe GBP JPY or GBP whatever, you will discover that all through the period of Brexit situation from 2016, 17, the value of GBP keeps dropping. If you check the chart overall, so negative news would always drive people away from a particular currency or an economy. So, and this still plays also in all financial markets. How do you create a wallet and fund? The easiest wallet to create, just go to any store, it be it your Apple store, your Android store, whatever. You can just download blockchain wallet. Just download it. And then right there, you have your bank on your phone. It's as easy as that. Okay, if you're in Canada, buy from World Simple. All right. I don't know about that though, but I'm sure that will be coming from. Is it advisable to buy any other cryptos right now? You have to look at the chart to be able to tell. Okay, good. Oh, great. I'm happy that someone actually understands. So you can buy your coin also from Coinbase, but don't keep them there. I don't recommend people keeping whatever coin you keep on an exchange is not yours. And someone is just explained that here. You don't own the coins you bought from, so you need to, if you're considering ownership, if you're trying to use your laptop, exodus.io is great. Just download exodus.io. That's a great one. I mentioned Ethereum. I mentioned Ripple. You can take a look at Polkadot. They have a good project coming up. Yeah. So before you go into altcoins, you need to understand, like, what's the use case. I've mentioned the use case of Bitcoin all through this conversation. So if another person tells you, oh, I have a cryptocurrency you should believe in, and then majority of them will come, they tell you, because the price of Bitcoin went from this to that, this one is also going to go from this to that. Some of them are just straight up bullshit. Like 98% of all coins are just straight up bullshit. You're not going to see them valuable, through a year. Some just come 6 months, and then they are no more. So stick with the ones I've mentioned. Of course, if you really, have a heart for, taking excessive risk, you can start looking into other ones. But the few ones I've mentioned are good, especially if they're just starting out. What are the underlying for Bitcoin? Underlying. I don't understand this, please. How do I monitor them? I see them later. The underlying for Bitcoin. What is the best wallet for XRP? Just check up their website. Yeah, check up their website. So from their website, you can just go straight up to the wallet that they have. They'll have the desktop version. They'll have the mobile version. But if you can't, maybe you could still hold them on Binance. Yeah, a lot of exchanges, deleted them recently because of SEC issues. So Yeah, do all other coins depends on BTC's market rate? Is there any coin whose price doesn't depend on Bitcoin price? All right, so the price of Bitcoin, if you check the website I gave, coinmarketcap.com, we could go there over there together. So you can see the market today is what, over $1 trillion, over $1 trillion. And you'll see the percentage, the dominance of Bitcoin. All right, so my name is actually Toby Kalejai. Yeah, but I'm not using my laptop. Some things came up, but I had to quickly use my brother's one. So sorry about the mix-up though. Polkadot, yeah, just so if you look at this website right now, look over here. I want to believe everyone is seeing my screen. So this is the entire worth of all these cryptocurrencies listed on this website, over 8,000 of them, right? And then the entire market is worth over $1 trillion. But let's look at the value of the dominance of Bitcoin, like what percentage does Bitcoin represent? Is right over here. Bitcoin represents about 70% of the entire market. I hope everyone can see 69.7% dominance is what Bitcoin has. 69.7%. You can look over here, look at the market cap of Bitcoin. This is, over $700 billion for just Bitcoin alone in a market of over $1 trillion. So Bitcoin has close to 70%. The rest of them just have barely about 30. They're sharing the remaining 30%. Ethereum coming closely with over $100 billion also. So going deeper down, you will see that some of them, are very, very worthless as you keep going deeper down. Yeah, I didn't mention, but BNB is also a good coin to buy when you look out for the right time to buy it. This particular one, Binance Chain or Binance Coin, this Binance Coin is also a good one to look into when you buy at the right time. All right. So the rest of them are just trying to share off the remaining value right over here. You understand? So definitely, if Bitcoin moves, someone like many people like to say, if once Bitcoin sneezes, altcoins catches cold, right? They all just go because people actually put their trust in Bitcoin. These ones are just offshoots of the trust that people have in Bitcoin. All right. Any other question I'm here to touch? Polka, and of course, right over here, you can just come and do a search of all the coins I've mentioned. If you can't scroll, just search for Polkadot right from here. You'll find them. You'll be able to know their value today. You'll be able to do, if you're looking for their website, you can actually go to their website from here. All right, so this is Polkadot I talked about. So if you click on it, you can see this is their website. It takes you to their website, their Explorer. You want to know, okay, how many people are using them? What's their use case like? What's their market capitalization? All of these things. Yeah, you can read about them. What